Now we need to make a composition. A composition, you can think of it as a scene, like scene one, scene two, scene three of a particular movie or something like that. Okay, so that would be called a composition. You can click new composition here, or you can go to composition, new composition like that, or command N, either way. I like keyboard shortcuts, so I'm going to go command N. Okay, you're going to get this, and we're going to go through this a little bit. So the composition name is simply going to be your last name underscore first name dash IntroVid Practice, like this. Okay. Now the preset, we want the preset of HD TV 1080 2997. Okay. These other presets are for like depending upon the device you're having. So PAL is like Australia, NTSC is for video cameras and so on. This one is good for what we usually put our videos on, which is YouTube. Okay, and then of course you have much higher resolution stuff, but for us this is good enough. And for most projects you do it freestyle, this is what you're going to be using: HDTV 1080 2997. Okay, you can see it's 1920 by 1080 pixels. Okay, square pixels 2997. You want the resolution to be full. And then for now, the duration, so if you look at the duration here, this stands, so the first number is, let's start from the right. So these are frames, the number of frames, and it would be like 30 frames per second, for example. These ones right here are seconds. The next one is minutes, and then the last one is hours. So hours, minutes, seconds, frames. Right now, this says so mine says it's 3 minutes long. We definitely don't want that. So we want a 1 minute thing. So the way you do that is you're just going to hit delete, select it all, hit delete, and type in 10000. So what that means is 0 frames, 0 seconds, and 1 minute. Okay? And then the background color, I want you to click and choose a color that's really nasty, like lime green or something. And this is just to tell you where mistakes are. It actually won't show up on your composition, your video. It won't show up in your actual video. It just shows you where the problems are. Okay, so pick one that's really obvious and hit OK. So there you go. You have that kind of setup. Hit OK. So it looks like this. You can see different parts of it. So if you click here and you go Command plus, Command plus, Command plus, Command plus, you're zooming in. Command minus, Command minus. So with my left hand, I'm doing Command minus to zoom away, Command plus to zoom in. You can also change the settings down here. Okay. This is the resolution. So it says half for me. That means only half the pixels will be rendered, and you might want to change it to full. Okay. So I like to see a little bit of black around my whole frame. So I'm going to go Command minus so I see this around it. And then so that's what I like to work with. Another choice would also be fit, like that, so it fits it onto your composition panel as best as it can. All right, so this is composition, and so let's talk about the timeline down here. So this is a timeline. The way you put stuff on your composition is simply to select something like, let's start with the profile over the voiceover. So this audio file here. So select that and press command forward slash, and that'll put it on your timeline down here. So that's one way you can add it to your timeline. To delete it from your timeline, just select it and hit delete. Or another way to add it to your timeline is to simply drag it to your timeline, like that. To listen to your audio, just hit your space bar.
In Chinese culture, there remains to be one form of art that is not commonly talked about.
Space bar to stop, right? There you go. Now to see the waveforms, select your clip and then type the letter L, and you'll see audio levels. That's what L stands for, levels. And then you can twirl down this waveform and you'll see the waveforms here. Okay? Now if you press L again, they'll disappear. If you press LL, you'll see only the waveforms. But if you press L, it'll show you the audio levels and waveform, you twirl down like that. Let's show you how to zoom in and out of this timeline. So you can see here that we're looking at a certain segment of the waveform, and we're not seeing it all. So if you make sure you have this blue down here, so you're on your timeline, and then if you just hit the plus symbol, you're zooming in, and then the minus symbol, you're zooming out. That's above the bracket keys near the P, right? So you can see there, I've pressed minus a couple times, and you can see that it's the clip actually ends right here. Okay. Now there's other ways to zoom in besides the plus and minus. You can zoom in using this little guy right here. Just scrub this little dude. Okay. Another way to zoom in is to grab this little blue bar right up here and drag it. So now you're zooming in. And then you can click between the blue bars up here at the top, and you can actually slide along. So you're looking at different segments while zoomed in. Okay, like this. So that's how you zoom in and out. So again, plus and minus is probably the most useful one. So like that. So I'm going to go minus until I see the entire thing. Okay. Make sure you're looking at the waveform. So type LL if you need to, or L, and then twirl this down. And let's zoom in a little bit until you get to the point right here around the 6-second mark. So this tells you where your playhead is. This is your playhead here. It tells you where your playhead is. So around 6 seconds. And if you hit spacebar, she'll say the word calligraphy.
Calligraphy.
So what we want to do is we want to we want to split this audio because we want a little bit of time between the way when she says calligraphy.
Calligraphy. And decades ago.
And the next line. So we want to split that. So we're going to put our playhead, just drag your playhead here, right between here, and then we're going to select that clip, make sure it's highlighted, as opposed to see how it's not highlighted. If you select it, it's highlighted. Okay. And then the way you can split it there is you can go to Edit, Split Layer. So what that does, it takes the layer and splits it. So there's the first half, and here's the second half. You can see that this layer here, the bottom layer, the second half of it is kind of grayed out, which means you don't hear it. The first half of the top layer is grayed out, and you can't hear that part. So it literally split it and then put the copy of it above. Okay? So now what we're going to do is, because we want more space between this clip and this clip, we're just going to click on it and just literally drag it off to the side a little bit. Okay? And if I press L, or actually LL, you can see here the waveform here, and then now let's listen back to it. I'm going to move my playhead back a little bit, hit spacebar and listen.
Talked about calligraphy.
Space, 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 space.
And decades ago, starting to...
So like that. So what have you just learned? You learned how to take a clip and split it, and then you can move it. Okay? So that's an easy way to take a clip and split and move.